Today on Screw You Luke, I'm Princess Leia, I'm all that matters. We have a bunch of scenes stolen from other films and other TV shows. Yes, that's it, not an original thought. But anyway, we'll get there. According to Wikipedia, on an Imperial Star Destroyer, there is multiple weaponry. Turbo lasers galore, it's faffing out with them. It also has tractor beams, do you remember them? Well, obviously we can't use it because we need A New Hope to happen. But if we were looking at this from what should the Empire do next, if the ship was in range, pull it in with a tractor beam. That'll get Obi-Wan Kenobi pretty damn quick. But Obi-Wan has to get to Tatooine because he knows Luke's in trouble. So what does he do? Well, he goes and has a fight with Vader. But we'll get there. Anyway, according to Wikipedia, the Imperial class Star Destroyer typically carries an impressive complement consisting of 72 TIE fighters. That's right, 72 TIE fighters. Yeah? Did the Empire use them? No. Did Vader send them out while he took care of Obi-Wan Kenobi? No. The Empire let these people get away despite them having high intel. You know, stuff that would really snuff out the rebellion before it even starts. So what's happening is we have the Star Destroyer chasing them, which looks a lot like the scene in The Last Jedi where they're being chased by the New Order. Or whatever they're fucking called. Anyway, Obi-Wan decides, we need to, he asks Ice Cube's kid, how long do you need to get everything up and running? And he says, not long enough. So Obi-Wan sacrifices himself, as a Jedi should, and would do, and he does it in an effort to buy time to get the ship fixed. So they can, hyperdrive out of there. But anyway, Leia doesn't like this because it's her show and what she says goes. But after a bit, she sees that her other wares, and somehow she passes on the Christmas merchandise onto Obi-Wan, and he gets ready to go meet Vader because, as he says, you've all sacrificed so much for the Jedi for 10 years. Let me do the same for you. That could be a sweet moment, I guess. But anyway, he says his goodbyes and farewells, and Leia says, come back, please. And there's a very tender moment. None of it she remembers in 20 years' time or whatever when, A New Hope happens. But never mind. Anyway, so what happens is Obi-Wan gets in this dropship, which has a hyperdrive, by the way. And obviously he does it in an attempt to lure Vader and the Empire away from these people who need to get going and need to carry out the repairs. So what happens is fucking military genius General fucking Commander Skywalker or whatever he was as a Jedi. What he does is he makes the Star Destroyer follow Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, we've already established that they have numerous ships that they could send after them, but they don't. So anyway, Vader's following Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the Grand Inquisitor says, the Grand Inquisitor, I should say, he says, well, my lord, we really need to concentrate on them. Because, they're more important. They could snuff out the rebellion before it even starts. I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he means. And Vader says, no, that is no ordinary Jedi. So after a couple of minutes, presumably, they don't really stretch to tell us the timeline, but the Empire starts following Obi-Wan Kenobi. And after a bit, Vader says, prepare my shuttle. I'll face him alone. Okay, that's grand. A bit of honour and, between knights or whatever. But while Vader's doing that, why isn't he ordered the Star Destroyer to destroy the ship? Why? Don't know. Why? Because fucking Vader's suddenly no longer a military commander. He's forgotten tactics or whatnot. I know you can say he's blinded by revenge. He can't see anything but what's in front of his face. But, in the comics, I think Vader has a pretty good, his brain still fucking works. Put it that way. But, so off he goes to follow Obi-Wan Kenobi. Meanwhile, while this is happening, back on Tatooine, Reva's turned up because she did live, although I'm not sure how. She didn't need at least a little bit of medical attention. She must be the only one without a bacta tank. But she's fine. She got there because apparently they didn't take her ship once they thought she was dead. Alfie cameo. Come on, boy. Up. Right. So Alfie's here. Give his view on the show. Ask what he thinks about the show. Yeah. Tell you, boy. Obi-Wan was shit, weren't it, boy? Go on. Come on. Oh, he's letting me down. Anyway, back down. So, Reva's on Tatooine and she's looking for Owen Lars, even though she told Obi-Wan she knew where he was in episode 2. And that she was going to kill him. But anyway, she needs instructions. And while this is happening, Owen and Luke's in it. Luke, he's in it. I mean, he's not in it much, but he's in it. Owen and Luke come to town to get some stuff. And Owen's pulled aside and he's told, we need to talk. And obviously he's filled in about the, Inquisitor being on Tatooine. So, he's Scarpa's back home. Now, it is established later on that Tusken Raiders regularly raid and go attacking farms. Yeah, Owen is completely flabbergasted and dumbfounded when his missus pulls out some weaponry, some guns hidden in the walls. He's very shocked at it, even though the show establishes that they're in constant danger from the Sand People. So basically, now we're in the second. It's about 40 minutes this episode. It says 53, but when you take in the recap and the fucking credits that go on longer than a Marvel film, it works out at about 40 minutes, just over, just under. So now all we have is 2 scenes where we have Vader against Obi-Wan and Owen and Peru against Reva. Because Reva wants to kill Luke because she wants justice. She wants justice because Anakin, who was Darth Vader at the time, but they insist on calling him Anakin. Darth Vader killed all her friends and stabbed her through the stomach, which didn't kill her. So far, the only person to die through a gut wound was Qui-Gon. And that must have been because Liam Neeson didn't want to be in episode 2 or something. I don't know. But, he's the only person to die from a gut wound. So, we jump back and forth between these two. That's all the last act is, really. Second half, last act, whatever you want to call it. It's just two fight scenes. We now get Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader. The rematch of the century, as Disney said. Now, I have absolutely no doubt that people will love this scene. And great for you if you do. If you loved it, great. I'm not going to knock you. I'm not going to say you shouldn't like it. Because we all like Star Wars in our own ways. For me, the entire show of Obi-Wan Kenobi is entry-level Star Wars. Yeah. I'm not going to pretend to have the world's biggest collection of comics, because I haven't. Right? It's probably no more than 30 in graphic novel form. Right? So I'm not going to pretend to be the world's biggest collector of it. I'm not. But I know how to write. I know Star Wars, and this, for all the flashy lightsaber bits, for me there was no soul behind it. Right, the entire fight scene was either callbacks to when they first start to fight on Mustafar in Episode 3. I know that might be a bit confusing, but if you're a Star Wars fan, you know what Episode 3 is. Right, so you have a few callbacks to that where it's like where Vader says, "Have you come here to destroy me?" and Obi-Wan says, "I will do what I must." The only thing that Vader missed out was the bit where it said, "You will try," but instead he says, "Then you will die." And then during this fight, it's copied. Now there's a big difference, I think, to a homage to a film where you're taking inspiration from a film or a show. There's a big difference between paying homage or direct fucking copying. And this is what they did almost. We have this fight scene, and Vader gets the upper hand, and he's somehow put Obi-Wan on the ground because now, the Force gives you the power to cause earthquakes and crack the ground underneath you, which is established in The Last Jedi, I think, isn't it? Everything is to show you that, it is possible. Rey can do these things because Obi-Wan can. The fact, because Vader can, sorry. But that says more about, Rey Palpatine, I think, than anything else, because she keeps using dark side powers. But anyway, Obi-Wan's buried under all these rocks, and then he starts, he has the hero montage of voices or whatever, and visions, and all these visions, over 80%, 80-20 between the two of them, is 80% Leia, 20% Luke, and that's being fucking generous. And Obi-Wan gets all his mojo back. I mean, he's had a gold holocron, and he is super powered. He really is. And it is fucking utterly ridiculous that the reason Obi-Wan gets his mojo back is because of Princess Leia. Throughout this entire episode, it keeps trying to highlight Leia's importance. The entire episode is to show how good Leia is. And okay, you can argue that Ben doesn't have this emotional attachment to Luke because he's not allowed to train him. That's grand. That stands in the books, the comics, as well as, we'll add it to this. Right? But he's not portrayed as fucking utterly weak and pathetic in all the other medium. Right? He's not portrayed that. Even in the graphic novel where Showdown on the Smuggler's Moon, I've already gone through it where he hasn't trained Luke because he's not been allowed. He hasn't picked up a lightsaber. Right? He hasn't trained him like he wished, but he does protect him. And this is the big difference between the show, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and everything else. He does not protect Luke. I'm jumping ahead here, but he doesn't protect Luke from Reva either. Because apparently, but we'll get to it. So, like I said, it's all about propping up Leia. So, with that in mind, let's talk about Leia, shall we? Now, obviously, in this, she's a 10-year-old. She's not played as a 10-year-old, let's be honest, she's not. She's played by a kid to be as adult Leia is in A New Hope. So, let's talk about this Leia, shall we? On the one hand, she's incredibly intelligent and smart, just as you'd expect Leia to be. But when you start, because of this show, particularly, and I've watched each episode twice of Obi-Wan Kenobi because I wanted to give it a fair shout. So, what happens? Let's talk about Leia's history. She gets captured twice. twice in Obi-Wan Kenobi she has to be rescued. Alright? Now, the more you think about it, the more you know, shit pops back into your head. So she's rescued twice. In A New Hope, she's rescued once. Granted, that's purely by accident, because if the Empire doesn't blow up Alderaan, then Princess Leia isn't saved, is she? If you remember, R2's mission is to get Obi-Wan to take him to Alderaan. It just so happens to be that's where, you know, Princess Leia is, but the Empire's destroyed Alderaan. And because of this show, because of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Empire now has a legitimate reason. Well, maybe not to commit mass genocide and blow up a planet, but in A New Hope, when Tarkin says, you know, then give us a target, a legitimate military target, Leia then lies. Because of this show, Alderaan is now a legitimate military target. Yes, it was overkill, you know, by a smidge, by a little bit, but Alderaan is a legitimate military target. Anyway, forget it. So she's rescued 3 times up to A New Hope. In Empire Strikes Back, she has to leave with Han, which is technically a rescue because she can't get to her ship because Imperial forces have entered the base. So what's that? 4 times. Then at the end of Empire, she needs rescuing again. Granted, it's because of Lando that she needs rescuing, but he does rescue her from the Imperials. So 5. And then she needs rescuing in Return of the Jedi, as when she's Slave Leia and she's in the Gold Bikini. So that's 6. And then she needs rescuing again on Endor, because it's Wicket that causes a diversion so that she can beat up the Imperials and escape. So that's 7 times. 8, if you want to class The Last Jedi. Because it's Leia, nobody else, Leia, who takes them to a fucking planet of, you know, traps them on the planet with no help. Other than fucking Hail Mary where the rebels come, which they don't. And obviously we have fucking Mary Sue, Rey Palpatine comes along and lifts all the rocks up. Look, she did it just like Obi-Wan did. So this is what Disney has done to Princess Leia. They took what was a strong female independent fucking blah blah whatever, you know, with all the nice terms that now actually don't mean shit. Leia needs rescuing at least 8 times. That is not a competent fucking person. So back on Tatooine, we have the Lars family trying to stop Reva from getting hold of Luke, and you know they put up a spirited fight. You know, maybe she's carrying the injury a bit, but they put up a spirited fight. But it's all to naught, and Luke ends up climbing through a hatch and runs away to try and get from her. And then, boom, we switch again. We have Obi-Wan Kenobi has got out of his, you know, fucking covered up fucking debris, and he's super powerfully strong now, powerfully strong. And off he goes. He goes after Vader, and he launches all these. As I said, just like what Rey Palpatine does in Last Jedi, where she lifts a load of rocks, Obi-Wan lifts a load of rocks and flings them at Vader. And then, in a scene that is shamelessly stolen, because the writers have no original thought, Obi-Wan comes in, and it's a bit of a weird-looking shot, but he manages to cut part of Vader's helmet off. And just like in Rebels, where Ahsoka does the same thing, you have, you know, part of the face is Anakin, part of the face is still Vader. But unlike Rebels, it doesn't have the emotional impact, even though that's what they're going for. So in it, you know, Obi-Wan apologises to Anakin for some reason, and Anakin says, "You didn't fail me. You didn't kill Anakin. I did." And then Obi-Wan says something along the lines of, "Then you really are gone or dead or whatever." And then he says, "Bye, Darth. See you in a bit." And he walks off. Now in Rebels, when this happens, Anakin takes control for a few seconds and asks Ahsoka, "Why did you leave me?" or whatever. And Ahsoka says, "I won't leave you again." And Vader switches back in, and the eye goes red, and the pupil dilates, and they carry on fighting because they can do that. But in here, Anakin's really struggling. Darth Vader, is really struggling, and just shouts at Obi-Wan as he leaves. That's it. The rematch of the century, and that's it. Obi-Wan just goes, "Bye, Darth. Toodles. I'll see you later." Yeah, I'll ring you in about 10 years and we'll have another fight. So while Obi-Wan toddles off and leaves Darth Vader just, to cough and splutter, we then switch back to Tatooine, and Reva's caught up with Luke, and she really, really wants to kill him. But she can't. She doesn't. She sees herself there as Luke is knocked out because somehow she's used the Force on him. And he's fallen down this cliff, so Luke now knows what the Force is because he knows he didn't fall naturally. Alright. But anyway, she wants to kill him, but she can't, and she has flashbacks, and she throws a lightsaber down or whatever, and she carries Luke back to the Lars homestead. Just as Obi-Wan Kenobi's landed, and he's looking for Luke as well, and Reva comes back, plops Luke down, and says, "I couldn't do it. And then she goes on about how Vader killed all her friends and whatever, and she relinquishes the dark side or fucking whatever she does. But she's no longer evil. She's fine. Now then, let's just have a look at a few things here quickly, shall we? Just in the episodes that we've seen, she has killed a Jedi. She chopped some fucking bird's hand off for nothing. She tried to kill Lars because she swung the lightsaber at him, and it was only the Inquisitor stopping her by using the Force that he didn't lose an arm. She has helped Vader go through. Only Vader was snapping necks at this point, but she was there. She, in the past, to become the Inquisitor, rise through the ranks, she has killed numerous people, tortured them, kidnapped them, done unspeakable evil things because she is evil. She's the dark side. And she suffers no consequences. Not a fucking one. Now, this has happened through every Marvel fucking TV show, be it WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, fucking whatever. At every fucking turn, you've had a bad female, or a female villain, I should say, who suffers little to no consequences. And if she doesn't suffer any consequences, the good guys even side with her, as happened in Falcon and Winter Soldier. What kind of a message is it that says, if you're female, you can do what you want? Fuck it. There's no consequences. There's no consequences to your actions. And that's it. And she tries to kill Obi-Wan, and she tried to kill Luke. And Obi-Wan says, "You're free now. We both are." What? Fucking what? And then we have a bit of a few wrapping up scenes where you know, he wanders off to pack up and move into his house, one would assume, and he finally sees Qui-Gon. And Qui-Gon says, I've been here all along. It's you. So, even though he was given training at the end of Revenge of the Sith to be able to communicate, it was only since having all these strong female types, give him a good talking to, or for him to realise that he needed to protect Leia because she's the chosen one, apparently, according to Disney, that he got his mojo back so that he could finally see his master. And then we get a couple of finishing off scenes where he's just protected Luke. He's just wow, on the fucking ship as fast as he can through hyperdrive and whatnot to get back to Luke because Luke's in danger. And the first thing he does is he fucking gets on a ship and goes back to Obi-Wan. Even Alfie, another cameo. Oh, well, that was in my mouth. Even Alfie knows that's fucking bollocks. Don't you, boy? Yes, you do. Yeah, even Alfie knows that's fucking stupid. And he goes with just the express purpose of giving Leia the droid back. Does the Imperial Galactic fucking Senate or whatever not have a postal service? Do they not have Royal Mail? They don't have Amazon? No, he goes back to Tatooine to protect Luke and then fucks off right away. And then he tells her a bit about both Anakin and Padme. And how she has both of their qualities in her. I mean, you could argue that it's quite nice, but the fact that we didn't later find out that she needs rescuing another fucking 6 times, I'm not sure if wise counts. But, anyway, during this, oh, I forget, skip back a bit. After the fight, after the fight with Obi-Wan and Vader, we skip back to Mustafar. And the Emperor pretty much bitch slaps Obi-Wan. You could maybe say, however rightly, where he says, Darth Vader, sorry, the Emperor bitch slaps Darth Vader a bit, and perhaps rightly says, I wonder if your feelings for your old master have clouded you. And maybe you could argue that because he let a complete fucking bunch of people go just to chase, because he had his eye on the ball too much or whatever. So Vader gets a bitch slap off the Emperor. But going off the comics that I've read, we know the Emperor wouldn't tolerate any of this fucking failure either way. So anyway, back to Obi-Wan on Alderaan talking to Leia. During this, a bit of Star Wars music from the Force music, the Force theme. It starts coming through while Obi-Wan's talking to Leia. Now you could argue this is for Obi-Wan. You could. However, the next scene, Obi-Wan goes to Tatooine. No Force music there. Nothing. All he says is maybe he should just be a boy. The future will sort itself out. And that's it. That's your end. I might have got a few bits mixed up, but that were it. It was, fuck you, Luke. Is what it was. Fuck off, Luke. Leia's the big fucking cheese, not you. You could have done it. And Obi-Wan says, you're all the protection he needs. Owen and Peru. I shit you not, I half expected Dom Toretto to pop up and go, all you need is family. At that point, all he needs is Uncle Owen and Aunt Peru. Peru, I don't fucking know. 2 civvies with blasters. Yeah, because that's on the same fucking level as a Jedi Master, innit? So that's it. It's fucking over and done with. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I really did expect